Hi everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we are in DC Legends, and we're going to do a topic that I'd like to cover, my favorite heroes, or my favorite characters, and my favorite leaders. Now, spoilers, I really won't be discussing favorite team-ups in this particular video. I'm going to leave that as a little bit of suspense for another video. So when I discuss the leaders, I probably am going to briefly talk about why I like the leader, but not necessarily talk about any pairings or teams with those particular leaders, because I would like that to be a separate video. And that's the kind of video that's sort of a nice throwback to what I used to do to Marvel Avengers Alliance and how I used to tackle the videos over there. So today seems like PvP with Batman Caped Crusader, World's Greatest Detective, or the Dark Knight. So I have one out of those three, and he's not in the most awful of shapes right now. I can fit him in. As a matter of fact, oh, that's kind of a shame. Damn. What I like to do is, after I do my normal dailies and I have somebody who's ready to ding, I ding when I do the legendaries. I've been doing it that way for some time now, but I'm pretty sure if I ding Batman now, it'll count when the legendaries roll over. So, yeah. Let's ding Caped Crusader. Oh, this is going to be interesting. What am I going to do for his legendary? So this is rather fortuitous that today is a day that I get to use Batman. So I'll bump up some of his gear for a little bit. That's part of the dailies also. We'll level him up just a tiny bit. Let's see if we can give him just one level. Another legendary to my pile. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. That's fun. Let's see. Doesn't have a leadership. Passive if he deals damage. Alright, let's see. Turn meter if Batman is invisible. 4 evasion ups. This is, I think it's Grapnel. If I remember correctly. Grapnel is definitely the one we want a legendary over here because of... He's kind of like the combat of Cyborg, capable of that, you know, opposite way huge hit over here. So let's see where it puts him in my rankings now. Okay, pretty cool. So some of my favorite characters and some of my favorite leaders. Dr. Poison, absolute favorite character of mine. I think a lot of people were not really too sure what they wanted to do with Dr. Poison when they got her, and maybe overlooked her or were like, nah. I enjoy the shit out of this character. She is a great hybrid. So in the world of MMOs and RPGs, there is what's called the Main Trilogy. Basically, the triangle of main things to do. You've got your tanks, you've got your healers, and you've got your damage dealers. Anytime you fall between one of those triangle arms, you're called a hybrid. Whether you're a slight DPS but you can tank, if you're DPS and can heal, or if you can heal and tank. Heal and tank is a little bit of a rarity in terms of doing the same thing at once, but it happens. DPS and tank and DPS and heals is probably most common. And way back in original vanilla WoW, people like Shaman were considered hybrids because they could kind of do a little bit of both. And Druids were considered that. And there was even a penalty called the hybrid tax. The hybrid tax says you're not allowed to do anything particularly well because you're doing a couple things reasonably well. So if you think about having 100% that you can spread among things. You're not allowed to be 100% DPS and 100% heals. You have to be 50-50. To me, Dr. Poison is one of the game's better hybrids. She is a hybrid between a healer and a damage dealer. I always like to try to open up a gas grenade. It is a setup for another one of my characters, and when she's needed, if Zatanna is feeling the pinch in terms of keeping my team up, or I need another heal because Zatanna's is down, Anti-Venoms comes in great. And as a matter of fact, I'm even going to do that. I feel that in PvP, I don't use it that much, but it's there in a pinch, and it has definitely been there for me on a couple of like, oh shit, that was a surprising hit over there. So I legendaried her gas grenade, which sometimes applies heal immunities to random enemies. Honestly, I don't know if I've particularly noticed it when it happens, but I thought, you know, for PvP and maybe for certain missions, that might be handy to have a heal immunity. The legendary for Anti-Venom was just that the cooldown is reduced. Equal chance for bleeds on random enemies for that one, or bleeds on target have a duration increased by 1. Mostly because I'm not running her as a solo bleeder. I think I would have left her level 1 longer because I don't need the durations increased. I have a lot of other people who can produce bleeds. So I might go with something like Master of Poisons for the next one, and then Anti-Venom, and then Virulence. But I really, really like Dr. Poison. She's come out of nowhere for me and done well. Huntress, I'm going to skip over. Everybody knows Huntress is good. She's on her way to Legendary. I don't think I need to talk about her. It's just obvious. Siren. Oh my god, Siren. What can I say about my Legendary Siren? I love her. Absolutely love her. I think she is a complete beast. I think she was one of my earliest legendaries, if not my first, definitely up there in my first 2. And this is one of the characters that, you know, American Express or MasterCard is it, Don't Leave Home Without It? Whichever was the Don't Leave Home Without It credit card, that's Siren. She goes everywhere that I can put her. I gave her a legendary on level 1, but I might have regretted that instead of doing it on her Zebel Fury, which instead, when she uses it, applies bleeds. When somebody spreads AoE bleeds before her, like a Chemo or a Dr. Poison, Zebel Fury could have come behind and not only exploited that damage, but added more bleeds, more pain. So, if I could take that back, I probably would. And then after that, I would maybe go into Vicious Constructs, which that 40% chance to use Dagger Deluge if the target is already bleeding, very, very good. I like it a lot. I consider it a put away. If somebody's kind of low and Dagger Deluge is cold, or I know I want to apply it to a different target, I will just use Vicious Constructs to add a bleed, and then potentially add a Dagger Deluge for another bleed. Just, yeah. I mean, her level 1 is probably one of my favorite in the game. She has one of my favorite animations. It's kind of a shame that Robin's level 3 has a few more frames to it, and it lasts a little bit longer than Siren's, because I think Siren is just way more vicious, but I like her a lot. Cyborg is one of my original favorite leaders, and the reason why I like him as a leader is because of optimized system. All allies have a 30% chance to gain 7% turn meter if buffed. You can absolutely build a team around that, and he likes to buff himself up a lot, which means optimized system. He has a positive feedback cycle with his own leadership and team sport. You can see my charge cannon is super far for him, I admit he's fallen off a little bit on me lately, but Cyborg was one of the first characters when I started playing the game that was kind of my go-to, just shit killer. I mean, he just wiped the board with people when he had his hit buff up, and he hit him with charge cannon, which you see is very high for me too. Now, I got into Cyborg after his bug was fixed. Apparently, early on in the game, he was bugged where he didn't always hit on his charged cannon if his buff was up. And I'm not talking about the circumstance where the enemy, you know, had evasion or something like that. I'm just talking like the enemy was completely vanilla, and he still was missing shots. So, fortunately, I never had to live through that pain as I got into him afterwards. But he recently became a 2-star legendary for me. So this is my first 2-star character. So in all honesty, to give Vic Stone here a little bit of credit, I should dust him off and put him back on the team. He actually got replaced by Dr. Poison. Dr. Poison maybe doesn't have that board clear that Cyborg does, but she also provides a little bit of backup with healing if need be. And she's a good setup for other bleeders. Broccoli. Another one of my favorite legendaries, and also another one of my favorite leaders. I legendaried him about middle of the pack, and his hero of J586, team leader, random ally gains 4% shield and 11% turn meter at the start of an ally turn. So it's kind of like Cyborg, but a little better. He comes with me everywhere that I can bring him, and he is especially useful to me in PvP. He seems to get dove on a lot, even if he's not taunting. So Will to Live is usually used on himself, and then he laughs as people spend turns trying to kill him and hurt him when Will to Live is up. Plus he, you know, heals people in a pinch, and he gives them a shield. Very, very versatile character. When we were talking about hybrids earlier, he does one of the rare characters that fits on like the tank / healing hybrid. I really do like Cyclops Broccoli. Fun character, fun leader. Zatanna, another one of my favorite legendaries. Another one of the people that comes with me everywhere I can bring her. I'm happy to have legendaried her recently. I feel like it was a long time coming when I finally got her up there. I also really like her leadership with certain teams. All allies have a 32% chance to gain 15% turn meter if they're debuffing an enemy. You can build a lot of teams around that, and I think much the way Cyborg is good for the opposite side of this, Zatanna is good for the offensive side of things. And you know, I legendaried her heal. That's what I went with. I bumped her heal up a lot. Let's see, what's this to upgrade? 7. I think I'm going to upgrade Abracadabra next for that other end down, which is pretty handy. Hat Trick I use sometimes in PvP. Mostly if a taunter gets in my way. And that's another reason why I like bringing her to PvP. Is that she takes away buffs, which is really good if somebody's got a solid strength down on the team, or if somebody has taunted and you have a clear objective in mind, like you're trying to kill an enemy Zatanna and a taunter's gotten in the way. It loses its effectiveness a little bit on Wonderwoman Doge, www.doge.wonderwoman.com. Because Hat Trick can't remove all of her taunts because she likes to just constantly taunt. You remove it, she taunts again. But if there's other taunters in there, it's really good. It's another one I should upgrade soon to remove another buff. Hocus-Pocus, much like Cyborg, the way he buffs himself into his own leadership, Hocus-Pocus, if she gets hit also positive feedback cycles into her leadership. Poison Ivy, another relatively early legendary for me, and I really should upgrade these gears here. Thinking Man's character. No leadership for her, but she's got a passive on top of a lot of abilities. She, much like Dr. Poison, occupies that DPS slash healing hybrid. However, I don't consider Poison Ivy as much DPS heavy as Dr. Poison, so much as she is crowd control. In a certain sense, she's a CC master. She's a master of controlling the battlefield in a lot of ways. So Snap Trap applies a speed down, has synergy with a lot of characters. Apply 2 taunts and a stamina up to a teammate. So good emergency if somebody's like super low. Pheromone kiss somebody who's high, or is a pretty beefy character, and potentially save the low person. Stamina means hit point pool, in case you're unaware of that. It doesn't mean your hit points go up, it means your max hit points go up. Toxin transfer, heavy heal on a target ally, move up to 3 debuffs. Good. I mean, very good anti-bleed, at least for one person. Cross-pollinate. So this is the one that I legendaried. This is where I think Poison Ivy is the mental chess of this game. And I really applaud the devs of this game for putting a character like Poison Ivy in there. She gets a lot of hate. I've got some people in my Facebook groups who are like, oh, Poison Ivy's not up at the higher echelon. She sucks, and she's so slow, and she's always dead by the time she could do anything. Okay, fine for you. But for the rest of the people in their areas of PvP that they're at, Poison Ivy is pretty handy. I don't like her that much on defense. I don't think she's smart on defense. But in the hands of a human being, very, very good. So, she's got a passive, like Zatanna, that applies a debuff if she gets hit. And cross-pollinate and toxin transfer. Hey, I have debuffs, I'm going to move them on you. I'm going to heal, cross-pollinate. Hey, you have buffs on you, I want them. Heal. Cross-pollinate has such ridiculous wombo combos that it's absolutely nuts. So I said that I wasn't really going to talk about certain team-ups over here. Let me just say that I took a character who had about 3 buffs on them and a damage immunity. Poison Ivy followed up with that cross-pollinate and gave it to the team. So I was a team of Supermans if Kryptonite wasn't even within 1,000 parsecs of where I was at the time. I mean, it was nuts. I like freaked out when it happened because that was the Wombo combo I'd been waiting for with her. Nailed it. Took a picture, even posted on Facebook. I like her a lot. When I have to do PvP with Poison Ivy, I really enjoy her. She's not on my main team now, but she certainly is a strong candidate for it. Wonderwoman Doge, www.doge.com. We have to talk about her. She's everywhere lately. She sort of reminds me of that character that 1 or 2 people would discover is OP in Marvel Avengers Alliance and be like, ooh, look at what I can do with this character. And then everybody starts copying it. That's what Wonder Woman Doge is like. She's an obnoxious tank. Doesn't do the most damage in the world, although when it was her hero challenge, she certainly did. Yeah, this should be upgraded a little bit. I don't use her in PvP, but she's been a hero that's been usable in a lot of special missions lately. And obviously you run into her in PvP all the time. I used to try to take out Zatanna first, and then Wonder Woman would get in the way and I would focus her. Now, I kind of just focus her and get to Zatanna later. She still really hasn't been able to pull off many heals when I faced that www.doge.com and Zatanna combos. But she's a very obnoxious tank if you want to protect somebody in your back lines, or maybe pair her up with speedy people where she taunts and the speedy people hopefully get enough turns to be of worthwhile. I legendaried her Defender of the Week. If Wonder Woman's above 30% health, 35% chance to gain taunt until the end of the enemy turn, 3 agility ups, 3 intelligence ups at the beginning of every enemy turns, blah blah blah. That's what I went with because remove 7 buffs from a target. I felt there was other things that could do that. And a shield on a level 1, honestly, you could make a case for that too. It makes her a little bit more hardy. She is a good tank right now, except I will honestly say bleeds are her counter. Bleeds blow her the fuck up and whittle her down. Direct damage, maybe not as much. You could make a case that Fearless Leader is worth a legendary, as she just lives a little bit more. Amazonian Strength is what it seems like the AI loves. Like, the AI loves to open with this. But you need her buffs out first, and then you extend them. I mean, it's very good for it's very good on AoE teams, where all you're doing is just opening up with AoE. But yeah, this one is also pretty good. When Wonder Woman gains taunt from Defender of the Week, gain a light heal, and other teammates receive death immunity until the end of the turn. Cooldown -1 on Amazonian Strength when gaining taunt. So another one that could have been very good, but I wasn't really planning on making www.doge.com a superpower for me. So I went with a more immediate utility than a like really, really good utility. Because she's high up there for me, but I don't use her. Katana recently legendaried for me. Not exactly one of my favorite legendaries, but she's got a cool leadership. And she has a 67% increased health and deals 1.5 of the target's max health as damage for every debuff on the target. There's a lot of stuff you can build around that, especially bleeders, because it's very easy to stack multiple bleeds. Arrakis? Or Chumak? He's kind of one of my favorite people. He's an awkward character to use, but he's fun in the right hands, and I think he could be better at legendary levels, and he's getting close. Aries, I don't pilot Aries a lot, but he's on a lot of my teams when I'm running, when the AI is taking over, and he's a legendary for me. I went with God of War legendaried. Aries gains 8% increased health at the beginning of his turn, gains strength up if any character is enraged, health plus 40. A lot of people at the time were complaining how obnoxious Aries was, and that just seemed to fuel his obnoxiousness. Very, very good if you build a team of enragers around him, and he causes his own enraging, so he's kind of fun, but I haven't really actively used him, but I have watched him a lot when I'm doing like Alliance mission dailies and everything. And that is kind of about it for my favorite characters and leaders. My Hal is about ready to come up to the final rank before Legendary. Superman got unlocked recently. I just want to point out that I think his leadership is great. 35% chance for each ally to gain 1 strength up if any ally taunts. I think you can build a lot of teams around that. And if you paid attention in the video, I think you could clearly pick out at least one character that works with that. I kind of like Mirror Master's animations. They're fun. Star Sapphire, a lot of people are kind of jealous in a certain way that I had a Star Sapphire and then that she was doing reasonably well in terms of her star level, but I rarely ever use her. Dr. Fate, I don't run into him a lot in the game. I don't use him a lot. When I first got him, I was excited to get him. And then I never used him. But in Injustice 2, the mobile game, Dr. Fate is a lot of fun. Like, my Dr. Fate in that game became, like, very high level, very early, multiple stars and everything. So, he's very, very fun there, but he's kind of disappointing here. Blue Beetle, a lot of people are on the fence with him lately. Some people are saying he's good. Some people are like, God, he's slow. I hate him. He sucks. The first time Blue Beetle falls below 30% health gain, a 40% shield. That is a ridiculous shield. And that's a pretty decent passive. But he has no leadership. And finally, at the very end over here, is a lot of characters that have dust and cobwebs on them. I just don't use. That Joker I rarely ever use. I know I'm supposed to work on the green arrows. They're good. This Green Lantern was a recent unlock for me. John Stewart, but I haven't used him. Hawkgirl was a recent unlock for me, but I haven't used her ever. And Hipolito is a recent unlock for me, and I was working her up during her time a little bit. As you can see, I got close to a 3. I would probably work on her a little bit more if her bios came around again. I know of a lot of people who really, really like Hipolito, and I do see her a lot in PvP. 50% chance to apply stamina up to an ally when an ally deals. I mean, that's a very good leadership. You know, increasing your maximum hit point pool. That's very, very good. And I mean, it's like, who isn't out there damaging? And I mean, you could certainly build a team around that. You could even build a team with like Aries, where Aries is enraging your team and everybody's doing their level 1s pretty consistently, not using other abilities. So, my world's greatest detective is finally close to popping over here. I know people like him. I used to see a lot of Batman versus Superman Batmans in PvP, but I feel that he's thinned out a little bit lately. And the game is not downloading content right now. People have been up in the air about whether or not Terra is worth her $100 that we've got going in the store right now. Most people are kind of saying no. I haven't looked into her as to whether or not to agree. She seems okay, but, you know, this game, I think it's greedy. It just constantly tugs at your wallet, whereas Marvel Contest of Champions is greedy because your luck is just atrocious in that game. It always feels like there was something you can spend a lot of gems on in this game and drop a lot of money for. Let's see, $9.50 for 20 to 40. 2 40s. This might be worth it. It might be worth it. I mean, obviously 40's at the high end, but even if I got 30, yeah, I might do that. I might do that and see if I can get a legendary Superman. That's a nice shortcut on that. So let's open a big arena pack over here and see what I get. I'm gonna guess Venom. Not Venom, Bane. I'm gonna guess Bane because it's always fucking Bane. We all know it's always Bane. Oh, wow, Swamp Thing. Okay, interesting. Just about as useless as far as I know, other than his res, but have you seen, guys, have you seen what a legendary Bane looks like in this game? 2 guys in my Facebook group in my alliance have a legendary Bane recently, because you just get his bios a lot. And they posted pictures of him Legendary Bane kind of looks like the younger brother in Christmas Story when his mom dresses him up with like the 42 layers of jackets and he gets pushed in the snow and he can't get out because he can't move in his 42 jackets and he's just kind of like waddling and spinning left to right in the snow. That's what Legendary Bane looks like. He looks like he's got way too much gear on him and he can't move. Not going to spend that on Broccoli because that's just a drop in the bucket. However, Black Canary, that's worth it because I never see anything in reference to Black Canary. Don't need Speed Force. I'm sure I probably have more than 5 of that. Really don't think I'm down to 5. Could do the 9K, but I've actually heard that it's kind of not worth it on this one. I mean, yeah, if I got a Superman, that would be cool. The ones I would want out of here would be Superman. Don't need pre-order Wonder Woman. I used her a lot in the beginning. Flash, a lot of people tell me Flash is good. I would maybe hope for something like that. Use 20 heroes. Yeah, 20 for Broccoli just wouldn't make a dent. Black Canary would be an unlock. Mirror Master would be halfway. Don't use Joker. Don't use Dr. Fate. Black Adam, I hear people talk about, but I don't run into him a lot, and I don't have a lot of experience with him. I think I'm going to go for that Superman one. I think that'll be worth it. So, that's it for me, guys. That is my video on some characters that I like, some of my favorite leaderships based on what I have unlocked. And I'm going to go ahead and split now, do my Alliance missions for the night, and go to bed. See you, everybody.